Welcome to There's No Place Like Home, the radio show coming to you on WRXB 1590 AM and Pinellas County Connection TV. This program is presented to you as an opportunity to hear information that can help you fulfill the dream of owning your very own home. We also share information about upcoming special events and programs to help you enjoy the good life in Pinellas County, as well as other items of interest. The sponsor of this program is the Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County, which offers the First-Time Homebuyers Program, your key to home ownership, helping people in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties make their dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Catherine Driver, your host for today's show. Today we'll be talking about an exciting event that's coming up in June that you don't want to miss, especially if you've been thinking about purchasing a home. June is National Home Ownership Month, and in Pinellas County, the Home Ownership for People Everywhere, or HOPE Expo, is designed to help you make the best decisions related to home ownership. Coming up in a few moments, we'll hear from representatives with the HOPE Expo Organizing Committee. Our guests are Lindsay Dicus-Harrison with Realty Executives Adamo and Associates and Tom Moore with the City of Largo. Before we begin our discussion, I want to let you know about the Housing Finance Authority, or HFA. In addition to sponsoring the HOPE Expo, the HFA offers its First-Time Homebuyers Program for individuals in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties who have never owned a home, have not owned a home in the last 3 years, or are veterans. The HFA offers a low rate on its 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, and if you need a little help with down payment and closing costs, we can help you with that too with the Home Key Second Mortgage. To get your key to home ownership, please call 727-223-6419 or visit the website at www.pinellascounty.org/community/HFA. And now it's my pleasure to introduce my guests. Lindsay Dicus-Harrison is a realtor with Realty Executives Adamo and Associates located in Seminole. Lindsay has served on the HOPE Expo Committee for 7 years and is the board secretary. She has been in the housing industry for more than 10 years. She worked for the City of Largo for 4 years, administering their federal, state, and local housing grants. Her knowledge as a certified housing counselor and extensive experience with housing programs has enabled Lindsay to specialize in helping first-time homebuyers find their home. Tom Moore is a housing finance specialist with the City of Largo Community Development Department's Housing Division. Tom has been the housing finance specialist with the City of Largo since 2012. He has previously been a planner for the City of Largo and the City of Temple Terrace. He earned a master's degree in urban and regional planning from Florida State University, where he focused on housing and neighborhood planning. Prior to moving to Florida, Tom worked for a nonprofit community housing development organization in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, after earning a bachelor's degree in sociology from Cornell College. Welcome to There's No Place Like Home, Lindsay and Tom.
Thank you.
Lindsay, can you give us a brief overview of what the HOPE Expo is and when is it coming up?
Absolutely. HOPE Expo will be Saturday, June 28th, and as you said, it's home ownership for people everywhere. It will be an expo that will have over 25 vendors as well as a home ownership seminar where people will get the tools they need to purchase their first home.
Great. Now, is there a cost for folks to attend this expo?
HOPE Expo is absolutely free to attend, so there's no cost for attendance. You can come, take the class, and earn your certificate for free.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Now, I understand that the expo is full day. Are there going to be refreshments available for folks who attend to purchase?
There are refreshments available. There will be boxed lunches provided that participants can purchase on site. There also will be water and beverages. If you want snacks or anything like that throughout the day, we always recommend bringing a little something to have during the class.
Okay. Well, what kind of information will folks receive at this expo to help them, learn about home ownership?
So the expo will have a home ownership class that they will be taking in seminar. And during this class, people will be learning the tools to build their team and take them on their journey towards home ownership. So they'll be taking them all the way from pre-purchase the pre-purchase process and counseling through the different steps on that journey to purchase their home. So it is a full day as well as a full analysis of the different steps in the home purchasing process.
Yeah, I think this class is a really good idea because people don't realize what a big process it is, and that as much education as you can get as possible, it's really a good thing. Who are some of your exhibitors that will be at the expo?
So what's very unique about this seminar is that we will have an expo hall. The vendors will be right next door to the class. So when people are let out on breaks, they get to come and visit the tables and actually meet the professionals of things they are learning about in the class. So we'll have over 25 vendors. They will have mortgage lenders. They'll have non-for-profit housing counseling agencies. They'll have different city and county government agencies that have housing programs. They'll have realtors, title companies, home inspectors, so the full gamut of your housing professionals to help you on the journey.
Oh, that sounds great. I understand that during this homebuyer education class during the expo, like you said earlier, folks are going to be learning about this process. Can you just expand a little bit more about what they'll learn and who might be presenting information during this class?
Sure. So there will be some special presenters throughout the day that will be discussing different things and people that are professionals in that field. But some of the things that they can look to learn and take from this class is, do I qualify for any of the assistance programs? They'll be learning about these assistance programs because there is free money out there for people that's available to them. They'll also learn how they qualify for a mortgage. So if you need any credit repair, they'll be teaching you about credit repair in there, how to look at your credit report, where to start. That's always the most overwhelming part. You learn all this information, well, where do I go? So they'll actually give you the steps. This is where you start. And then it even takes it into home inspectors and the home inspection process, the importance of using a realtor. That's another segment in the class they talk about. And then they briefly touch on property taxes as well.
Oh, that's really great. Well, Tom, can you let us know how much this class is and how do folks need to register in advance?
Well, that's a great thing about the class. It's free to all participants. Just the key is, since there is a limited amount of space in the class, there's actually a Spanish class and an English class that people have to register in advance. And the best way to do that is going to our website, which is www.hopeexpo.org or HOPE.org. Pardon me.
That's great. The participants in this class will also receive a certificate. What is the importance of getting this certificate?
Well, oftentimes the down payment assistance programs that are out there and different lenders for different lending products, they require that people take an 8-hour homebuyer education class, and so they'll have to have the certificate in order to qualify for those programs.
Great. So you did mention 8-hour counseling class. So is that approximately the length of this class that folks can attend, expect to be attending with breaks in between?
Correct. I mean, that's why I think they set up the HOPE Expo for a whole day, so there's really time to take the class and talk to the different vendors, and so you sort of have a full experience.
Good. Well, that's good for people to know to expect to be there all day and not just come and go as they please. What about folks with families and children? What do you recommend for them?
So we love children, but it is a long day, so we do not recommend bringing children to HOPE Expo. It's going to be a time that you really want to focus on the class and the process and be able to talk to vendors. So there is no childcare provided at HOPE Expo, so it's something you'll want to think about and make arrangements ahead of time for childcare.
Oh, that's very good for folks to know so they're not surprised when they get there. I understand that there are some really great door prizes, too. Can you tell us about some of those prizes and what folks need to do in order to win?
Well, we're gathering those from all the different potential vendors that are going to be there, and they're oftentimes based on things that a new home buyer would need. So they're Lowe's, Home Depot gift cards, baskets that have tools in them, things that would as a new homeowner you want to have.
Great. And do they need to be present to win those door prizes?
Yes, they need to register for the expo and show up, and they'll give out the prizes during the day of the class, so they need to be there.
How can folks get additional information about the expo? Through the website? Are there any other phone numbers they can use, or is the website the best place for folks to get information?
I believe the website's probably the best way to get the information, and again that's www.hopeexpo.org. There's also a phone number that they can call, which is 727-446-3532.
Right. I don't think we've even mentioned yet where it's located, the HOPE Expo this year. Can you provide folks with the location of where the HOPE Expo is?
Yeah, it's going to be at the Raymond James Financial Center, which is at 880 Carillon Parkway in Tower 4 in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, great. Okay. What can today's home buyers expect when they meet with a mortgage lender?
Well, I think they just need to they need to show up with all the information that they have about their current situation, their employment, their debts, their things like that, and they need to be ready to think through what they really can afford. I mean, oftentimes when you go talk to a lender and you pre-qualify, they're going to tell you, based on their calculations, what you can afford, and that's oftentimes, a lot more than what you might expect. So, like when I went to get a mortgage, they told me I could qualify for a $200,000 house. But when I did the calculations for what a payment would be like that was way too much. So those are sorts of things you need to think about.
In some cases, folks need a little help with budgeting. Does the homebuyer class offer tips on preparing and living within a budget?
Yes, that's one of the key components of the class. It does focus on, the things you need to think about before you buy a home. And that's oftentimes making sure that you sort of know what you can allocate towards your housing expenses, taking into account all your other expenses.
Right. And then just knowing to save money so that you can make your payments in a timely manner once you get into your home as well. So
right.
that's very good. So, Tom, I know that a lot of times folks are concerned about down payment and closing costs and how to come up with that money and how much money is even needed for those types of things. Can you tell us about the different types of down payment assistance that's out there and the sources of that funding?
Well, a lot of the local municipalities, the county, City of Largo, City of Clearwater, St. Petersburg, they get money from the federal government, and they get money also from the state of Florida that they can utilize for different housing programs. And a lot of times they use it towards home ownership. Like City of Largo has a program called Sold in Largo, which is our down payment assistance program. And with the City of Largo, we provide up to $25,000 towards the down payment on a house for income qualified buyers that purchase a home within our city limits. And so oftentimes, so there are income limit requirements. There are often locational issues. So you need to figure out possibly where you want to consider purchasing, and then that'll help you sort of determine what programs you might have available to you. Oftentimes, what it is becomes it's a loan, oftentimes a low interest, 0% 20-year deferred loan, like with the City of Largo, that it's there until you sell the home and you pay the money back.
Oh, well, that's great. So sometimes folks might not know about that unless they come to the HOPE Expo and hear about this and find a lender who can help them find those sources of down payment and closing cost assistance. What are some of the other costs associated with home ownership that folks might not think about other than, how much does this home cost? There's a lot of things involved with owning a home and costs.
Well, and oftentimes, I think what people don't think about is, maybe they were paying $800 a month in rent, and then suddenly their principal, interest, tax, and insurance payment is, $600. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's all they're going to have to pay towards the maintenance of the house into the future. I mean, there are things that, if you buy into a neighborhood with that you're taking care of a drainage pond or a street together, you're going to have homeowner association fees. There's also just over the course of time, you're going to have money available to paint the house again, or maybe fix the roof, deal with different things that when you were renting, your landlord took care of, but now it's your responsibility. So those are things you have to think about when you're talking about what your budget is, and it's more than just that principal and interest payment.
Right, saving for a rainy day.
Yeah, and the class really helps you determine a budget for those items and how to budget throughout the time that you own the home for those certain things. And then they also do go into energy costs as well, because people, when they think about their housing expenses, sometimes they're not factoring in what they're going to be paying in utilities. So we have somebody from Duke Energy now that comes to the class and actually talks about energy savings and how to save on those things. So it's not just all telling you the different costs that are structured in your loan. It's also telling you those additional expenses that you'll need to save for and budget for.
Right, so you're not surprised with a big bill and no source of funds to pay for it, so that's very good. Well, Lindsay, we all know how important good credit is when buying a home or anything for that matter. What advice do you have for people who have had some credit challenges?
So a lot of people have this fear that their credit is not where it needs to be, and a lot of people just don't realize really what their credit is or what's required. One of the great things that the class teaches is how to look at your credit report, what things to look at to decipher if you will qualify for a loan, and also they give you what the average credit score you'll need to get the home. People think their credit sometimes is worse than what it is. And if your credit does need some help, there will actually be housing counselors there that can help you and give you tools through pre-purchase counseling to get you where you need to be. I've seen with clients many times where they've had no credit at all and were able to very quickly build their credit to where it needed to be to purchase a home.
You did just mention, that there are sometimes folks who don't have a credit history. What happens when folks don't have a credit history, and what do you do to help them build a credit history?
There's many tools that either your lender or a pre-purchase counselor can talk to you about to help you build credit. A lot of times people fear credit cards and they think credit cards are their enemy. Credit cards, if used correctly, are a great tool to help you build credit. And sometimes people can get secured credit cards, and that's a good way to start building that credit. I had a client one time that thought a cash system was the way to go and closed down all his credit lines. He had a wonderful income, wonderful job, and a 0 credit score. So he actually had to go through the process of building credit again. So sometimes credit cards are feared, but with the lenders and the housing counseling agencies, they can really advise you on how to build good credit.
Right, and use them wisely and to your benefit. So that's a very good thing. I mean, this class is going to be, and for it to be free is just a wonderful thing for folks out there who are looking for a home. So hopefully folks will take advantage of that. What is the rule of thumb in determining how much of a home you can afford?
There's many different factors that go into determining your affordability for a home. Credit score goes into that, your annual income. In general, the class is going to give you a full calculation of different housing ratios and things like that to help you determine. As Tom said, you're also going to want to know what you're comfortable with. You might be able to afford a lot more of a home than you're comfortable in a payment each month. A general rule of thumb, if people just want to know before going to the class, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac recommend that you take your annual income and you times it by 2.5. That gives you kind of a general guideline of a number. The class will go into more detail with the housing ratios and give you a better, clearer picture of what you can afford.
And I know that when I talk to potential home buyers, one thing I also let them know is to always talk to a lender and get pre-qualified so you know what price home you should be looking at and discuss what you think you can afford before you go out and start looking for a home, because you don't want to look for something that's more expensive than you can afford, because then it might be disappointing that you can't find something as nice in your price range.
Yeah, pre-approval is definitely key for anything, and most realtors won't even take you out to look at homes, especially in this market, without a pre-approval, because by the time you get pre-approved, that home you just fell in love with can already be off the market and under contract.
Exactly. So folks, if you're listening, come to the HOPE Expo, get your lessons during the class, and then go get pre-qualified, and you'll be ready to go. Tom, what advice do you have for someone who is considering home ownership?
Well, I think the key probably would be to come to the HOPE Expo this summer. But in general, it's a good idea to utilize all the resources that you have available to you, especially with the internet and the opportunities to meet with your lender, meet with a realtor, really sort of get a sense for who all the players are and how what you'd feel comfortable in making a payment, et cetera. So really utilize all those resources that are available.
Looking at HOPE Expos in the past, since I know you both have been involved with the HOPE Expo for a number of years, do you know of any success stories that you've heard of from the past or reaction that you've received from the folks who've come to the HOPE Expo in the past and attended the class and about how useful it was for them and how much they appreciated?
Yeah, absolutely. We get feedback every year. And for me, working as a realtor, I had over 15 people get their first home after going to HOPE Expo. And so I get the direct feedback. I'm not sure what kind of feedback the city gets, but I get to directly see the person that went through the process, worked hard, got their pre-approval, and actually found their home and used some of the programs.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do have down payment assistance money, and there have been times when HOPE Expo has been the class that they took to find out about the down payment assistance program, and they were able to purchase a home. So we see that direct connection as well.
Right. So that it sounds like the HOPE Expo is really a great place to find out about all those resources that are out there. Trying to find out about them on your own would be quite a daunting task. So to kind of have a one-stop shop to get everything that you would need for that process is good. Now, do the folks need to be first-time home buyers, or can they have owned a home before? And
we mentioned first-time home buyer and first-time home buyer programs a lot, and a lot of times people aren't understanding what a first-time home buyer is. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer to come to HOPE Expo. It is for home ownership for people everywhere. It's a great tool for even the person that's purchased homes many times because the process has changed so much over the last few years. And this is HOPE Expo's 23rd year. So everybody can come to the expo. Everybody can always gain more knowledge. I sit in the class once a month and I gain something each time. But anybody can come. Certain down payment assistance programs do require you to be a first-time home buyer, but that doesn't mean never owning residential property in your lifetime. For a first-time home buyer qualification for some of these programs, it just means you haven't owned residential property in the last 3 years.
Right. Okay. I know that they're going to be getting a certificate by participating in this class, which is needed sometimes for these down payment assistance programs. How long is that certificate good for once the folks get that certificate?
Well, that really is a good point because it's usually good for 1 year. So if people are interested in thinking about buying a home but they're not ready to buy it right away, the expo is still a good place to go because you can help you get started thinking about what you need to do to get to that point. And sometimes, it is going to take you a little bit of time, and the certificate can last for a whole year. So.
Oh, that's great. So they don't have to run right out and find a home immediately following the expo. They can take some time to think about it because, can you explain to the listeners, some things to think about? You had spoken before about folks who rent an apartment and then turn to home ownership, some of the other differences between renting and owning your own home.
Yeah. Well, I think not everybody in HOPE Expo is not there or this home buyer class is not there to teach everyone to be a homeowner. Some people might take the class and process through the information and find out that they don't want to own a home after the process or it's not right for them. And that's what this class is really there to teach you, to give you the tools, but also to help you process yourself if home ownership is right. Because there are a lot of expenses that come with it. A lot of times, and a lot of people even find, though, in the class that when they're going through the process and they're looking at their finances, that they would actually be saving money by owning a home. So it definitely is a good time to evaluate the benefits of being and staying a renter, and as opposed to the benefits of purchasing a home. And the class gives you great tools to do that and to see the different amounts and that you can afford in a home. And right now, with the market and the housing market and how things are, the last 2 consecutive years, Pinellas County home prices have been on the rise. So everybody kind of has a fear of what happened. We did have a big crash, and now we're kind of on the rise, and interest rates are slightly on the rise as well. So you're at a really good time to purchase. You never want to purchase on the way down in a market, and right now things are slowly increasing. So it's a great time to come take the class. You have a full year with the certificate, as we discussed, so you have that time to evaluate if it's the right time for you to purchase.
I know also you mentioned briefly earlier that the class is going to be held in both English and Spanish, so there's going to be 2 simultaneous classes being held.
Yes, yeah. So there'll be an opportunity for anybody who speaks either language to get in there and also have a chance to talk to some of the vendors.
Okay, that's really great. Well, let's give the contact information again for the HOPE Expo.
That's all right. It's www.hopeexpo.org, or you can use the phone and call 446-3532.
And we highly recommend to go ahead and pre-register because the class fills up extremely quickly and usually is full way before HOPE Expo. So don't delay. Go ahead and register today.
Yes, that sounds good. Once again, the HOPE Expo is in June, but I would recommend visiting that website and getting registered as soon as possible to take advantage of this great opportunity. Is there anything else that we haven't covered about the HOPE Expo that you can think of that would be useful to our listeners today?
I think we've covered quite a bit about the class and the process. I think just reiterating what a great tool. This isn't just a home buyer seminar. You actually get to use the tools you're learning in class and go into the vendor hall, meet the vendors, kind of interview them, because that's some of the things that they'll teach you in the class. So you get the opportunity to take what you've learned, interview the team that you will be building to help you on this path to home ownership.
Yes, that's a really great thing. Well, we only have a couple of moments left to wrap up today's show. I'd like to thank my guests, Lindsay Dicus-Harrison with Realty Executives Adamo and Associates, and Tom Moore with the City of Largo, the Pinellas County Communications Department, and of course, WRXB 1590 AM. I look forward to having you join me next month. If you missed any part of this show or would like to view past shows, check out our website or catch us on YouTube. I'm Catherine Driver. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, there's no place like home.